Hey guys, how's it going? It's that nerd Ryan here with another Pokemon video. So I've been doing something for the past month, actually pretty much during this whole quarantine, that I wanted to test out, and it was kind of a challenge, kind of my first challenge for a Pokemon game. So I played Pokemon Blue using only Red's team from the Pokemon manga. So what the challenge is you're only allowed to catch and use Pokemon that a certain character in either the anime or the manga or anything like that were to use. So I chose Red from the manga because I just finished reading the Indigo League or whatever you would like to call it manga for Red and Blue or Red and Green. Um, and I figured I might as well use Red's team during that phase. So yes, his team does change come the Gold and Silver era. That's as far as I am right now. I don't know how it is in the Ruby and Sapphire era and so on and so forth. But I chose his team through the ending of that series. So his team was Venusaur, Pikachu, Aerodactyl, Snorlax, and excuse me, Gyarados, and I think I actually said them all. It was Pikachu, Gyarados, Aerodactyl, Venusaur, Snorlax, and Poliwrath was the other one. So I did even nickname them after the Pokemon on the manga. So Poliwrath was Poly, Venusaur was Sar, Pikachu was Pika. All the names were very uncreative. Gyarados was Gira, Snorlax was Snore, and Aerodactyl was Arrow. So I am gonna say some of the challenging portions of this game. Um, Fortunately, I didn't really come across many challenges when we're looking at the battling aspect or anything. More of the challenges was the catching and the glitch that I actually encountered. So I'll talk about the glitch first. So, for whatever reason, while I was in the Viridian Forest, whatever Pokemon I caught would not learn any new moves. For example, I knew that Red caught a Caterpie at one point and evolved it all the way up to a Butterfree. So I figured since I wouldn't have a flying type Pokemon until late in the game, or a Pokemon that could learn fly until late in the game, I might as well catch Butterfree. I didn't know if that was possible or not at the time, but I figured I'd try it. So I caught a Caterpie and evolved it to Metapod, and it never learned Harden. Now, Harden isn't something that you really have to be concerned about, but after that, when it evolved into Butterfree, it still only knew Tackle and String Shot. So after a while, I just decided to pitch them to the side and figured I'd find different routes to walk around the map and catching Pokemon that I needed. Now, the other hard part was catching. I will kind of go through on how I did the catching and everything. So, obviously, I started with Bulbasaur because that was Red's starter given to him from Oak. Red's official starter was Poliwag, but that was something that I ended up getting as my fifth Pokemon. Mainly because you need the Super Rod to do so, and you have to pass through to get to Snorlax to get to um, the Super Rod so you can fish in Pallet Town. Now, I on that way, I figured since I'm running into Snorlax, I might as well catch him. So that was why Poliwag ended up being my fifth Pokemon instead of my fourth or third. Um, so also with that glitch, Viridian Forest is the only place where you could catch Pikachu. So my issue was with Pika was all his moves were either TM moves or Thundershock. I used Thunderbolt on my Gyarados because I felt that worked better, um, considering how insanely powerful Gyarados is in this first iteration of the game. Unfortunately, I thought, oh, maybe he didn't get affected by the glitch, and it never clicked in my head that he wasn't learning any moves. So I ended up with, at the end, with a level 37 Pikachu with Thundershock, Skull Bash, Seismic Toss, and Flash. Um, which all sound like they'd be great moves, but on a level 37 Pikachu, it really didn't help much in the Elite Four. Um, but I will say my MVPs for this game were Gira and Snore. Gira knew Thunderbolt, Dragon Rage, Hydro Pump, and Bite, all from being a level 5 Magikarp all the way to ending to a level 43 Gyarados. Arrow was finishing with Wing Attack, Fly, Fire Blast, and a move that I usually didn't use, so I cannot remember what it is at the moment. Um, and Snore knew Earthquake, no, Earthquake, pretty much. Oh, that Strength Body Slam, and another move. Again, I spammed Earthquake so much with him that that's the only move I remember him having. Um, my Venusaur ended up being kind of good support and actually won me the championship battle, or actually the Elite Four battle with Lance, whose Dragonite had 1 HP left, and I was able to use Cut just to get it down. I actually ended up beating Blue. I did nickname my rival Blue for this, with basically just my Snorlax and my Gyarados. And that's what makes them the MVPs for this game. Um, as well as my Poliwhirl, or Poliwrath. He ended up putting a lot of fight into this too. So, anyways, as I was saying, the hard part of this was the catching and the grinding. So, like I said, I started out with Venusaur, and then I was able to catch a Caterpie and Pikachu in the Viridian Forest. Um, and like I said, that barely helped. But by the time I was in Cerulean, I still had those three. Beat Misty mainly just with my Ivysaur. Um, and then moved down to Vermilion City, where I was able to get a Old Rod, and I heard that the Old Rod had a 10% chance of getting a Poliwhirl, so I did spend about 3 hours trying to do that with no luck, only getting Magikarp, which I caught one, named it Gira, and switch trained it until it was able to evolve into a Gyarados. At that time, I was able to beat Lieutenant Surge, and I was planning on catching a Diglett since Giovanni gifted Red a Diglett in the manga and using that against Surge, but I decided against it. I also was trying to get a Poliwhirl at the time, so I could try to attempt to beat Surge with a Poliwhirl, so considering that Red beats Surge in the manga with Poliwrath. Um, Obviously, I did not do that. Um, and then at that time, I moved on to or the Rock Tunnel, and was able to go through that all fine and everything. And then I learned of a glitch recently that you can do in Lavender Town. Now, usually I'm not one to do glitches, but I figured, considering how I am trying to get Red's team as soon as possible, the glitch would be the best bet. So, if you go to Celadon City and you buy a Poketoy, and you go up to the top level in the Pokemon Tower, and when the Cubone is going to attack you, and you just see the ghost, if you throw a Pokedol, it overrides the battle. That's actually how they get the top record for beating the game in under an hour, is using that glitch as well. So it saves you the whole time going through the Celadon game corner and everything like that. And then you go and you can get the Poke Flute to move Snorlax and wake him up. The only reason I did that was so I can get the Super Rod and get Snorlax at that time. So during that, I was also able to backtrack and pick up the old Ember. Um, and I went and fought Erica along. And while I did that, I was switch training my Poliwag so it could evolve up into Poliwhirl, which then I bought a Water Stone to make it Poliwrath. And then after that, I moved down to fight Koga so I could get Surf. I ignored Sabrina for a while, and I actually grinded in the Celadon Game Corner, since you can go back and do that, the Saffron Radio Tower, and also the Old Mansion. And I did go down to Cinnabar to revive my Aerodactyl, so I could teach it Fly, and I could finally have a flying type Pokemon. Now after that, it was easy to beat Blaine, and it was easy to beat Sabrina, and I moved on to Giovanni, um, who actually gave me a little bit of trouble during that battle. This was the only trouble that I had, was with the gym battle against Giovanni, where he was actually able to wipe out my Poliwrath in Oko, which he was going to be my ace in that, but it ended up that Gira was able to pull through with Bubble Beam and beat the rest of his team. Now after that, I completely forgot about the second to last rival battle against Blue and almost lost my team again, but was able to beat him on the first try and move forward. So by the time I got to Elite Four, I was actually 20 levels under level with most of my team. And I was able to actually go through and beat it all on the first try. I learned that if I do use a powerful Pokemon like Gyarados or Snorlax and use a super effective move, it almost always one-shots each and every Pokemon. Like I said, the only issues that I had were Lance, where it went down to literally just my Venusaur against just his Dragonite, and then against Blue when it was basically just Poliwrath against just Charizard with 1 HP left. And I did just beat the game, and I really, really enjoy this challenge. I suggest you doing it yourself. Go ahead and look up any anime character, any manga character, choose their team, and play through whatever game has those Pokemon. I am not going to do the Gold, using Gold's team. I kind of looked at his team, and it's very hard to catch Apalm, I know for sure. So I am not going to spend hours upon hours trying to get an Apalm just for this battle. And also, I am planning to do Ash's team on Pokemon Yellow after this. So sorry that I had no visuals with this, guys. As you know, we're in the last week of lockdown. I don't have a capture card at all, let alone for a 3DS. So I really wish I could have showed you guys this and we could have experienced together. It was honestly very fun. I started out not thinking that I'd follow through on this, and I ended up following through, and I ended up really, really loving it, and I'm excited to do it on Yellow with Ash's team. Hopefully I don't run into the same glitches that I did, and hopefully I'm able to beat the game that way. But yeah, so thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share the video, and please remember to subscribe. If you made it all the way through, obviously you like my content, so that means that there's more coming. I always have some on Thursdays and now Sundays, and then I am also planning for a lot more to go down once everything's lifted. Planning podcasts, planning everything. So please subscribe. And be sure to get ready for next week's video, where I'll finally be able to continue the retrospective look on every single Pokemon region. And remember, we're all Pokemon masters on the inside.